Crown the County of Lowndes, the unknown history of civil rights struggles in Lowndes County, Alabama. Welcome back to the SBG Files, Savage Facts, where we are dedicated to uncovering untold stories and shedding light on pivotal moments in history, particularly in Lowndes County, Alabama, a place that played a crucial role in the civil rights movement. With us today is Buddha King, who has dedicated his time to researching and preserving the rich and complex history of this important region. We are excited to share this vital piece of American history, and we are thrilled Lowndes County isn't exactly a household name when discussing the civil rights movement, but I understand the significance is profound. For those unfamiliar, we are going to paint a picture of what Lowndes County was like in the 1960s.
Lowndes County is located 44 miles southwest of Montgomery, Alabama, also known as the Black Belt, a region solely dependent upon the cotton industry. Lowndes County played a significant role in changing the narrative for African Americans in the United States. The Lowndes County Freedom Organization Black Power movement spread all over the nation. This movement caught the interest of two black Californians, Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale, who would ask for permission to use the Black Panthers Lowndes County Freedom Organization adopted for their new Black Panther Party. The Oakland-based Black Panther Party became a more prominent organization than Lowndes County Freedom Organization. As a result, many are unaware of the origins of the Black Panther emblem, derived from the brave African Americans in Lowndes County, Alabama.
The Lowndes County Freedom Organization had the logo of the Black Panther. So it began in Lowndes County. But I will say, when Oakland, California took on the Black Panther, the overall movement, the idea, the concept, it transformed to what the individuals of Oakland, California needed.
By typically establishing schools, Lowndes County would be the top beneficiary from this migration. And it started with the vision from a well-renowned historical icon, Booker T. Washington.
Washington was a product of Hampton Institute, class of 1875. A few years after completing his education at Hampton Institute, Washington was called upon to be the first president of Tuskegee Institute in Tuskegee, Alabama, by Lewis Adams and George Campbell, who are actual founders of the institution. When Washington gets to Tuskegee, he will implement the principles that he learned at Hampton Institute, this whole idea of educating the whole person, the hand, heart, and mind.
Washington would often visit his alma mater at Hampton Institute. There was one particular trip to Hampton that would change the lives of two white women.
These were the founders, the first principals, and the board of trustees.
In the meeting, Washington explained how blacks in Alabama were in desperate need of education. The ladies were so moved by his words that they discussed the matter the entire night. The next day, they informed Washington that they were willing to go to Alabama to teach, but they would need help finding the place that needed help the most. That place would be the city of Calhoun, located in Lowndes County, that was the largest proportion of blacks to any county in Alabama. 1892, Calhoun Colored School, a private boarding and day school, was established by Thorne, Dillingham, and Washington. Thorne would serve as principal, Dillingham would assistant principal, and Washington who served on the board of trustees.
As you can imagine, all three were products of Hampton Institute.
I remember being a child and hearing about how people used to live at this school. They grew their own food, how they were sewing, that they did blacksmiths, they had masonry, they were basically self-sufficient. And I think that was the beauty of that model.
She said, I wanna be free, hear me now. I wanna be free, she said. I wanna be free.
Calhoun Colored School would serve blacks in Lowndes County throughout the Reconstruction to its closing in 1945. There were no blacks that held office in Lowndes County, although they made up the majority of the population. This would be an issue until 1965, when the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, also known as the Lcfo Black Panther Party, was formed. The Lcfo was led by Stokely Carmichael of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and John Hewlett, a brave local supporter of Lowndes County Freedom Organization.
They were very instrumental in helping getting African Americans registered to vote, as well as seizing political power for a county that was majority African American, but there were no African Americans represented in the political seats. And I must say that this was probably the most profound piece of history
Lowndes County Freedom Organization mission was to organize a voters registration project going door to door and convincing black residents to vote for their black candidates. Due to the extreme level of bigotry in the area, there were many challenges for black voters in Lowndes County.
2 older men in line get ready to vote. They looked to be in the late 70s, and there was only 2 of them left in line, and I was standing there because by the time the federal government had sent poll watchers down. And I was watching, just observing and taking notes. And I observed that the first old man got to the counter. So the poll watcher said, "Do you own property?" He said, "Only way you can vote is you got to own property." And so he said, "I own property." He said, "Well, who can vouch for you that you own property?" So the man standing behind him, who's just as elderly, he said, "I can vouch for him. I know him. He has property." The white poll watcher said, "Well, somebody got to vouch for you." Now, there are only 2 left in line. So I'm going, wait a minute.
Your dog won't mix with your hog, and you tell me white people has got a mind and can't think no clearer than that.
There were consequences to black residents participating in voting. As majority of sharecroppers and tenant farmers, black residents of Lowndes County were forced off white-owned land, which led to the creation of Tent City.
People were sharecroppers still, and they lived on certain people's land. So they were threatened that if you vote for the black candidate or the candidate, then we would kick you off of our property. So that's how you fed your family.
It was such a beautiful story in hearing how when they were forced out of their homes because they were associated with this movement, that individuals started building tents so that they could live in the community and feel the situation because they had to have lookouts. There were shootings and that their lives were threatened, but they still had the courage to continue on. The true significance of the courage that these families had to stick to what they believed in spite of the consequences to their lives and their families is inspirational.
Despite the tremendous turnout of voters in November of 1966, no candidates were elected.
The county is resilient. The people are resilient, and that's important. It showed resilience in the fact that even though they did not win the election the first go around, that they reorganized, they changed tactics, and they went for it again.
In following elections, LCFO candidates won positions as county commissioner and coroner. In 1970, John Hewlett was elected sheriff of Lowndes County on the LCFO ticket. He became the first black sheriff in Lowndes County. Rip Big John Williams.